I have another engine here that I know next to nothing about, and which is odd because in all of my years of RC flying I've never had a Fox engine either. This was yet the third engine that was in the box that appeared at my doorstep a couple days ago, and it didn't come exactly like this. It didn't have this prop on it. It had a different prop on it, and it did not have this exhaust. This exhaust is actually from the Magnum Pro 45 that I just shot a video of. That's a deceased engine. I didn't have a muffler for this, and I didn't want to try running it without a muffler, so I learned online that this muffler does sort of fit. The opening here isn't exactly the same height as on the Fox, but I think that little bit of restriction will probably be okay. The reason I want to do a box to the bench on this is because this engine actually turns over well. Everything seems smooth on it, so I figured there's really no reason not to just use this as a box to the bench review. So that's exactly what this is the prelude to. As you can see, this engine isn't in too bad a shape. Sure, it's a little dirty. I pulled this plug out, and I can do it again here real quick. Top of the piston is not black. It doesn't even look like a solid brown color. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see. It looks like there. I mean, I can still see metal, so that doesn't. I'm not sure how much runtime this engine has. I mean, there's a little bit of residue up here on the top, but this is the plug that actually came in it, and it looks like it's a Fox plug with an idle bar. So I'm just going to keep it in there. The only other thing I've done is there was a different piece of fuel tubing here, and I replaced that. I just need to open this needle valve up. I plan on running this. I've got an 11.6 APC prop on here, and I'm going to run it with some FAI fuel, so let's get out there and get this running. Good morning, and welcome to volume 14 of a Box to the Bench review. Today's engine is an interesting one because it's a very old engine, and it's also an engine that I've never owned or operated before. It's a Fox engine, a Fox 45 more specifically. This was given to me from a very awesome modeler, and it was in good enough shape that I feel comfortable doing a box to the bench on it. Now, it turns over well, it has great compression. It did not come with an exhaust. I just so happened to have fitted this with a Magnum Pro 45 muffler just because I needed a muffler for it to run. It has the same glow plug that came with it, which I believe is a Fox plug with an idle bar. I've got a tank full of FAI fuel because I've read that these Fox engines like low to no nitro fuel, so that's what I figured I'd try with it. And an APC 11.6 prop. So never run one before. I've got this needle valve open 3 turns. We'll see how she does. well, I have to say, I'm impressed. Never been a fan of Fox engines, but I've also never owned one. I've read a lot of things about them, and it's one of those things where people either love them or they hate them. I've read more probably negative things about them than positive, but my first experience with one is a very good one. This thing started, I mean, it didn't hand start. Hand starting with FAI fuel is kind of tough anyway, I've found, but it fired up pretty easily with the electric starter. I did some tweaking of the needles. Obviously the high-speed needle was a little too rich. Now the high-speed needle is weird because I don't know if it's the fuel line that's on there or what, but you turn it and it kind of wants to back up a couple, so you almost have to overturn it because it kind of moves back again. And you saw that I pretty much have this peaked out right where it needs to be, because I did try to lean it again and it wanted to start shutting down immediately, so I just left it where it was. And it was reading, I turned my tack off, it had a peak of 10,800 with an 11.6 prop, and it's a 45. That's pretty respectable. So FAI fuel, 11.6 prop, the plug that came with it, the muffler off of a Magnum Pro 46 or 45. I did have to adjust the low end some. It's got really good low end idle. It was sitting there at 2,500, seeming like it was sit there all day. And the transition was good. I've never seen super awesome transition with FAI fuel, but this engine handled it very well, and I'm really, like I said, I'm pretty impressed. Now the question is, externally it's very dirty. I do kind of want to take it apart and clean it up so it looks all nice again. My biggest concern is that I won't have gaskets to use for it. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.